There are voices in every generation that rise above the noise. Voices that don't merely entertain or inspire for a moment, but awaken something deep within the human soul. Les Brown is one of those voices. His words are not a passing echo of human optimism. They are a trumpet call to purpose, perseverance, and responsibility. And in an age where excuses have become a national pastime, his words cannot be ignored. Les Brown does not merely tell us to dream. He calls us to discipline. He does not flatter the human heart. He confronts it. He stands before us, not as a man who had every advantage, but as one who came from the very shadows of despair and proved that destiny is not determined by environment, but by decision. He reminds us that while we cannot control the hand we are dealt, we can control how we play it. In one of his most famous declarations, he said, "You have greatness within you." Those words have been repeated by millions, but too often misunderstood. He was not speaking of a shallow, self-glorifying greatness that the world loves to advertise. He was speaking of the image of God impressed upon every human life, the divine capacity to think, to act, to endure, to create, to overcome. That greatness is not born of pride. It is born of purpose. It is the recognition that life itself is a sacred trust, and that to waste it is a form of ingratitude. You see, the tragedy of our time is not that people have no opportunities. It is that they have no conviction. We live in a world that excuses failure more quickly than it rewards faithfulness. It celebrates comfort more than character. Yet Les Brown speaks into this generation with words that pierce the fog. It's not over until you win. That is not a slogan of self-help. It is a summons to endurance. It is a reminder that victory does not belong to the talented, but to the tenacious. When Les Brown tells us that we must fight for our dreams, he is not appealing to our vanity. He is calling us to stewardship. The dreams we carry are not random. They are responsibilities. Each of us is born with gifts that are meant to serve others. But those gifts lie dormant until they are disciplined. And there is no growth without struggle, no success without sacrifice. The man or woman who refuses to labor will never learn the joy of the harvest. Too many today want the prize without the process, the crown without the cross, the applause without the agony. But life doesn't work that way. And Les Brown, through his own story, tears down that illusion. Born into poverty, labeled adjudicably mentally retarded, rejected, ridiculed, he had every reason to surrender to despair. But he refused. He decided that his circumstances would not define him, that his past would not imprison him, and that his words would one day lift others from their own darkness. That decision changed everything. His life preaches louder than his speeches. It teaches that faith is not passive. It is a verb. It acts, it endures, it keeps moving forward, even when the night is long and the outcome uncertain. It stands on the conviction that life is a gift too precious to on excuses, and that within every difficulty lies the seed of destiny. When Les Brown says, shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land among the stars, he is not promoting reckless ambition. He is urging us to aim higher than our fears. He is saying that mediocrity is a choice, not a condition. He is reminding us that to live small is to betray the vastness of what God has entrusted to us. You were not created to drift. You were created to drive toward purpose. You were not designed to survive. You were designed to serve, to build, to bless, to leave a mark that matters. And yet, how quickly we forget. We settle for less because it's easier. We silence the call of greatness because it demands courage. But courage is not the absence of fear. It is obedience in the presence of fear. It is the quiet determination that says, even if I fall, I will rise again. And that spirit, unbreakable, resilient, relentless, is the spirit Les Brown calls forth in every listener. Words echo a deeper truth, that every life has value, that every trial has purpose, and that no one is beyond redemption. He challenges us to stop waiting for permission to live. Too many die with their dreams still inside them, buried beneath procrastination and doubt. Les Brown urges us to live full and die empty, to pour out every ounce of talent, wisdom, and love before our final breath. That is not just motivation. That is a philosophy of life anchored in accountability before God. The world needs that message now more than ever. We are surrounded by voices that tell us to play it safe, to blend in, to compromise, to lower the standard. But truth does not bend to culture, and destiny does not wait for comfort. The fire that forged great men and women of history still burns today, but only in those who refuse to let excuses extinguish it. Les Brown's words can't be ignored because they are not merely about success. They are about stewardship. They remind us that the greatest tragedy is not failure, but potential never realized. They call us to live each day as though eternity is watching. Because it is. They summon us to rise when the world says, sit, to speak when fear says, stay silent, to believe when doubt says, quit. So I say to you today, listen. Listen not just with your ears, but with your heart. Let his challenge penetrate your comfort. Let it stir you to action. There is more in you than you know. More strength, more faith, more resilience, more grace. But it will not awaken until you decide that enough is enough, that your purpose is too sacred to be postponed. Don't let another day slip away in hesitation. The time is now. The world is waiting, and heaven itself is watching to see whether you will rise to the calling within you. Les Brown's words can't be ignored, not because they flatter the flesh, but because they awaken the soul. You have greatness within you. These 5 words carry the weight of destiny, the echo of creation, and the undeniable truth that each human life holds a divine spark waiting to be awakened. Greatness is not reserved for the chosen few. It is not confined to talent, fame, or fortune. It is the quiet power placed in every soul, the reflection of something higher that calls us to rise beyond limitation. Too often, we believe greatness is something external, something we must chase. But Les Brown reminds us that it is already within. It is not discovered through applause. It is revealed through adversity. To say that you have greatness within you is to affirm that you were created with purpose. You were not born by accident or by coincidence. There is design in your existence and intention behind your breath. Greatness lies not in what you possess, but in what you pursue. Not in what the world gives you, but in what you give back to the world. It is the strength to stand when life has knocked you down, the faith to move forward when nothing in sight seems possible, and the courage to believe when evidence tells you to quit. This inner greatness does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers in the darkest nights, telling you to hold on. Sometimes it speaks through tears, through pain, through quiet moments of resolve when no one is watching. It is not measured by position, but by perseverance. You can find it in the teacher who refuses to give up on a struggling student, in the parent who sacrifices everything for their child, in the worker who labors with integrity though no one applauds. Greatness is moral before it is visible. It begins in character before it appears in achievement. The challenge is that many never recognize it. The noise of doubt, fear, and failure drowns out the voice of destiny. The world tells you that greatness belongs only to the gifted, the powerful, the fortunate. But that is a lie. Greatness is not a matter of birthright, but of belief. The same potential that turned ordinary men and women into legends sleeps within you, waiting for the moment you decide to awaken it. The only limit is the one you accept. The boundaries of your life are drawn by your willingness to act. Les Brown's words are a mirror. When he says, you have greatness within you, he is not describing himself. He is describing you. He is calling out the hidden power that life has tried to bury under disappointment, rejection, and fear. He is reminding you that no failure can erase your worth, no setback can destroy your potential, and no label can define your destiny. You may have been overlooked by others, but you have not been overlooked by purpose. Every obstacle that stands before you is not there to stop you, but to shape you. The greatness within you is not a trophy, it is a task. It demands growth, courage, and relentless faith. It asks you to stretch, to fight, to endure. It is not born in comfort, but in challenge. Gold must face fire before it shines, and so must the soul before it reveals its strength. When life presses you, it is not to break you, but to bring forth what lies hidden. You cannot discover who you are until struggle strips away who you are not. To live with this awareness is to live awake, to walk each day with conviction that you are capable of more, that you are called to more. It changes how you face hardship, how you see opportunity, how you value time. It silences the voice of limitation and replaces it with the sound of purpose. You have greatness within you means there is more ahead than behind, more strength than you realize, more reason to rise than to retreat. It is not a compliment. It is a commission. It is a summons to become everything you were meant to be. It's not over until you win. These words carry the fire of endurance and the heartbeat of unwavering faith. They speak to the soul that has stumbled, to the dreamer who has been disappointed, to the fighter who stands bruised but not broken. Life has a way of testing every conviction you claim to hold. It will knock on your door with failure, with delay, with heartbreak, and ask you, do you still believe? Most surrender at the first sign of pain, but those who endure understand that the journey to victory is not measured by speed, but by stamina. The race does not end when you fall. It ends when you refuse to rise. When Les Brown declared, "It's not over until you win," he was not speaking of superficial success or fleeting triumphs. He was pointing to the spirit that refuses to die in the face of defeat. Every person who has achieved anything worth remembering has walked through seasons of struggle that threatened to silence them. But what separates the victor from the victim is not talent, intelligence, or luck. It is persistence. The one who keeps moving when everything says stop. The one who still believes when everyone else has walked away. That is the one who discovers what true victory means. Winning is not always about standing on a stage or holding a trophy. Sometimes it is about waking up one more day when you wanted to give up the night before. It is about fighting through tears, through fatigue, through uncertainty until you reach the place where your faith proves stronger than your fear. The world celebrates results, but heaven celebrates resilience. There is a beauty in the battle that most never see because they quit too soon. But those who stay in the fight learn that pain has a purpose, that delay is not denial, and that the process itself is shaping the person you must become to carry the prize. There is power in deciding that your story will not end in defeat. Every dream worth pursuing will test your endurance. The obstacles are not there to destroy you, but to demand growth. The mountain does not move until you climb it. The promise does not manifest until you persevere through the pressure. It's not over until you win means that failure is temporary, that loss is not final, that every setback carries within it the seed of a comeback. You cannot lose if you refuse to quit. The finish line belongs to the one who keeps walking, even when their steps are slow. Most people stop at the edge of their breakthrough because it looks like breaking down. They cannot see that the darkest hour often comes just before dawn. That is why this truth is so vital. It reminds you that the battle is not over simply because you are weary. Victory does not arrive in comfort. It is born in conflict. Every moment of resistance, every act of faith in the face of impossibility moves you closer to what you were meant to achieve. The storm may rage, the path may be long, but persistence turns pain into progress. When you believe that it's not over until you win, you shift from reaction to determination. You stop asking, how long will it take? And start declaring, as long as it takes. That mindset transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. It awakens a resolve that outlasts discouragement. It gives strength to the broken, direction to the lost, and hope to those standing in the ruins of disappointment. The moment you decide that you will not give up is the moment your victory begins to take shape. Winning is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like quiet endurance, like refusing to compromise your values, like holding on to faith when logic says let go. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. Every time you rise from the ground of failure, you defy defeat. Every time you choose to try again, you declare that your future is still unfolding. The fight is not over. The story is not finished. And as long as you breathe, there remains the possibility of triumph. Live full, die empty. These words are both a challenge and a charge, a call to live a life so complete, so intentional, so poured out that when the final day arrives, there is nothing left within you that was meant to be given. It means to die having exhausted every gift, every idea, every ounce of potential, with nothing left unused, unspoken, or undone. Too many reach the end of their days, not from old age, but from unused purpose. They die with their songs unsung, their dreams unfulfilled, their love unexpressed. To live full, die empty is to refuse that tragedy. It is to live awake to the truth that your time here is brief and sacred, and that every moment is an opportunity to invest yourself in something that will outlast you. To live full means to give everything you have to the life you've been entrusted with. It is to wake up each morning knowing that your breath is a gift, not a guarantee, and that every sunrise is a new chance to create, to serve, to grow. It means not holding back your ideas out of fear of rejection, not silencing your voice because others do not understand it, not delaying your dreams until tomorrow because you assume tomorrow will come. It is the choice to live courageously, to pour yourself out completely, and to hold nothing in reserve. To die empty is not a message of despair. It is the ultimate expression of purpose. It means that when your journey ends, you have given everything that was within you. The books you were meant to write, the songs you were meant to sing, the people you were meant to bless, the work you were meant to complete. Nothing remains undone. You do not leave this world wondering what might have been because you gave the world everything you had to give. There is a freedom that comes from knowing you are spending your life rather than simply saving it. Fear is the enemy of living full. It whispers that you are not ready, that you are not enough, that your dreams are too big or your time too late. It convinces people to play small, to stay safe, to wait until the conditions are perfect. But perfection never comes, and life does not wait. Every day that passes unused is a piece of potential lost forever. Living full demands courage, the courage to risk, to fail, to try again, to believe that your life is worth more than the comfort of your fears. There is no fulfillment in hoarding what you were meant to give away. Gifts are not meant to be buried. They are meant to be sound. Every talent you hide, every idea you delay, every kindness you withhold diminishes the world in some small way. The value of a life is not measured by what we keep, but by what we contribute. Living full means realizing that the purpose of having something within you is to release it, to make it count, to make it serve. Living full is not about business. It is about intentionality. It is to live with focus and direction, to use your time wisely, to pursue excellence rather than mediocrity. It is to live in such a way that when others encounter you, they are inspired to pursue their own purpose more passionately. It is a declaration that you will not leave this world the same way you found it, that your presence will leave a mark of light, truth, and legacy. To live full Die empty is to make peace with the fact that life is temporary, but purpose is eternal. The measure of a life is not how long it lasts, but how deeply it is lived. To live full is to give your best, to love without restraint, to serve without complaint, to create without fear, and to pour out everything until nothing remains hidden inside you. Mediocrity is a choice, not a condition. Those words strike at the heart of complacency and expose one of the most dangerous illusions of our time, the belief that average living is inevitable. Mediocrity is not imposed by fate, environment, or circumstance. It is accepted by decision. It is the quiet surrender of potential, the moment when a person chooses comfort over challenge, routine over risk, and safety over significance. No one is born to be ordinary. Every life begins with the breath of possibility, yet somewhere along the way, many exchange their passion for passivity and convince themselves that greatness belongs only to others. The truth is that mediocrity is not forced upon us, it is tolerated by us. Les Brown's conviction that mediocrity is a choice carries a piercing honesty. He does not soften it with excuses or decorate it with false comfort. He exposes the reality that each of us has the power to rise above average, but few are willing to pay the price of excellence. The distance between ordinary and extraordinary is discipline. It is the willingness to do what others will not, to stay when others quit, to prepare when others procrastinate. Mediocrity demands nothing, but excellence demands everything. The one who decides to break free from the crowd must be willing to walk alone, to work harder, and to endure criticism without surrendering to it. The danger of mediocrity is not merely that it limits your potential, it dulls your spirit. It convinces you that survival is success, that getting by is good enough, that comfort is the goal. It blinds you to what you could become if only you refuse to settle. It teaches you to trade purpose for pleasure, growth for ease, and calling for convenience. But deep inside, the human soul knows this lie. There is always a quiet unrest in the one who lives below their potential, a haunting awareness that they were made for more. Mediocrity numbs the heart, but it never silences the truth that you are capable of greatness. Excellence is not a gift of the privileged. It is the result of choice, consistency, and courage. Every act of dedication builds a life that stands out in a world content with average. The athlete who trains when no one watches, the student who studies long after others sleep, the leader who serves with humility instead of seeking applause. These are the marks of those who refuse mediocrity. They understand that mastery is born in the unseen hours, that greatness grows in the soil of discipline, and that what is easy rarely produces what is eternal. Mediocrity offers comfort but robs fulfillment. It promises peace but delivers regret. It whispers that you can try later, that good enough is sufficient, that nobody will notice. But the one who accepts mediocrity spends their life looking back, wondering what could have been if they had dared to give their best. There is no joy in living below your potential. The soul cannot be satisfied when it knows it was meant for more. Excellence demands effort, but it also delivers purpose. It may cost more in the moment, but it rewards more for a lifetime. When you understand that mediocrity is a choice, you regain control of your destiny. You stop blaming your circumstances, your past, or your limitations. You realize that excellence is not determined by opportunity, but by attitude. You do not need perfect conditions to live at a higher standard. You need a decided mind. The decision to reject mediocrity is the decision to live intentionally, to give fully, and to pursue greatness in everything you do. It is not about competing with others, but about honoring what is within you. Mediocrity fades in the presence of conviction. When purpose becomes your priority, when integrity becomes your standard, and when faith becomes your foundation, there is no room left for half-hearted living. You begin to rise above the noise of the ordinary and step into the realm where potential becomes performance. You were not created to blend in. You were created to stand out through excellence, through effort, through the refusal to settle for less than what you are capable of becoming. Courage is obedience in the presence of fear. These words redefine bravery, stripping it of all illusion and showing it for what it truly is. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to act rightly despite it. Courage is not born in the moments when everything is easy. It rises when the heart trembles, when the outcome is uncertain, when the risk feels overwhelming, and yet you move forward because conviction demands it. Fear is a universal visitor. It comes to the strong and the weak alike, whispering reasons to hesitate, to retreat, to compromise. But courage answers that voice with action. It is not fueled by emotion, but by obedience to something higher, a principle, a calling, a truth that commands loyalty, even when the cost is great. Les Brown's insight exposes a deeper reality about human strength. Most people wait for fear to disappear before they move, believing that courage will suddenly descend upon them like a gift. But fear never leaves those who live with purpose. It shadows every step of significance, every moment of growth, every decision that matters. To obey in the presence of fear means that your faith outweighs your feeling. It is to say, I may not feel brave, but I will act as though I am, because the call is greater than the comfort. That is the essence of courage. It does not wait for the heart to be calm. It commands the heart to follow. Fear thrives on delay. It feeds on hesitation, growing stronger with every moment of uncertainty. The longer you wait, the larger it becomes. But obedience cuts fear off at its root. When you act, when you take the step that fear says you cannot, something powerful happens. The grip of fear begins to weaken. Courage is strengthened through motion. The first act of faith, no matter how small, shatters the illusion that fear controls your destiny. Those who wait for courage to come before they begin will wait forever. Those who begin in obedience discover courage along the way. True courage is not reckless. It does not ignore fear. It confronts it with discipline. It recognizes danger, but refuses to be ruled by it. It counts the cost, then commits to the cause. It understands that obedience is not always safe, but it is always right. Throughout history, every great leader, thinker, or reformer has faced the same internal battle. Fear, urging retreat. Purpose, commanding advance. Those who obeyed the call despite trembling hands and uncertain hearts became examples of what it means to live with conviction. Courage begins in small decisions. It is found in the person who chooses integrity when deception would be easier, in the one who speaks truth when silence would protect them, in the one who forgives when bitterness feels justified. It appears in quiet moments, long before the spotlight ever arrives. Obedience and fear builds strength and character. Every act of courage becomes a stone in the foundation of resilience, a declaration that fear may whisper, but it will not rule. Courage transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. It is the power that enables progress, the fire that refines faith, the resolve that keeps the dream alive when everything around you says it is over. Fear may never vanish completely, but it loses its authority when confronted by obedience. The person who chooses to act with courage is not fearless. They are faithful. They have decided that purpose is more important than protection, that truth is worth the risk, that obedience is greater than comfort. In every generation, there are those who hear the same challenge do. What is right though your voice shakes, though your knees tremble, though your path is uncertain? That is the moment where fear and faith meet, and obedience becomes the bridge between them. Courage is born not in the absence of fear, but in the decision to rise above it, to act not because you are unafraid, but because you are committed to what is true.